Let me get some water. Oh, I have tea, actually. Tea's even better. Let's get some tea. That hits the spot. Just iced tea. So, here are the old Eldar models. And I could probably get around to working on bringing up the dark blue up to something more like this. We can get to doing that. But we also have all these arms, and in fact, yeah, maybe we should address these arms. We should deal with them now, because, as I said, that's the plan. The plan is to finish these guys off. Do I have, like, more than enough? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 13, 16. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. Okay, I have enough, I think. There's a head here. Okay, so what's the plan? How are we going to do this? I think I didn't do the final highlight layer for the arms, for most of the arms. It doesn't seem like it. But maybe we'll save that for when it's attached to the model. Let's get a little quick preview of how this is going to look. Something like that. Pretty neat. But it'll be easier to get to all the nooks and crannies if we do that separately, as I said. And there's all these little trinkets and details, and there's a tube. There's like a tube attached to the gun. A pipe. I'm not really sure what color to do that, so I'm still thinking about that. So for all of these guns, they're going to be bleached bone. That's in the lore, that's like the material that much of Eldar technology is made from. It's made from like wrathbone or something like that. Some kind of like intelligent bone material. So that's why we're going to use bleached bone, or as it's called, Ubshanti bone now. So let's get some of that out there. And we're going to shake. Shake, shake, shake. And I've been looking online for some examples as to what other colors I could use for the details, and still not sure. For this model, some of the extra details I picked out with like a dark green, so that's an option. I'm not sure. Okay, we're just getting out some of this bleached bone. Put a little water to thin it out. Although when you use a wet palette, that kind of makes your paint kind of wet, thinned out already. And let's get going. Let's get going on this. Laying down the base coat. And I think for shading this, we'll do like a quick kind of like brown ink wash. I'm not really super interested in doing blending for this. Oh yeah. So today, every Monday, Games Workshop has been showing a new Eldar model from the new range of models that they're about to release. And today they showed off the new Warlock models, which is pretty cool. Again, the Warlock models that are currently the officially, what's the word? The most current model that are used today are still the super old ones from like the 90s or something. They're like super old, and they're based off of the metal models that they've since reproduced in resin. I think they're resin now. There was a time in the transitionary phase between shifting their business from metal to plastic, where some models were still metal, but they wanted to keep them in circulation, so they've created a Citadel fine cast, which was initially not very good. Like the quality of these formerly metal casts now turned into resin wasn't that good, and in fact many people compared the quality to like knockoffs, because that's the thing too, like, like knockoff Citadel miniatures from China or whatever. They were like not that great quality, but I think since then my understanding is that the quality has gotten better with their resin recasts. But generally, like, that was always going to be like a stopgap intermediary solution to a problem, and that now that they're sort of moving their business to all plastic, they have to get around to redesigning and making new kits in plastic. And we're almost there. I think every model that is currently something that is in an army book or a codex has a representation of it in plastic and not fine cast, I think. Like, ideally, I wouldn't want to actually hold the arms here while I'm doing this. I'd rather hold on to, have these glued onto something, but whatever. Okay. Two. Let's clean off the brush. We always gotta clean off the brush. Don't want any paint drying on the brush. Let's get some new music going on. Not really sure what I want to play. Let's browse and see. Okay, let's get this going on. One second. There you go. Let's get this going. And unfortunately, you guys probably can't hear it all too well, but that's okay. That's okay, because I don't want to run the risk of getting flagged or anything. Although, video game music tends to be fine, right? Generally, it seems like any music from a video game seems to be fine for streaming. Otherwise, playing any video game on stream would be a huge problem. And right now, so previously I was playing Arcanum, as I've had played before, and then before that I was playing Baldur's Gate 2, the soundtrack, and now I'm playing Shadow of the Colossus by the famed composer Kao Otani. Cal Otani actually comes from movies. He worked most notably on, oh gosh, the name is escaping me. The giant turtle kaiju. Uh-oh. Someone help me. Gamera. And I have to say that I'm not too knowledgeable in Gamera. I'm not to say that I'm an expert in Godzilla lore and movies, but I've seen a lot more Godzilla movies than I have Gamera. But somewhat recently, I watched a Gamera movie. Maybe it came out like in like 2010 or something, or some point in the 2000s. Oh, there you go. You got Bacon and Goro with the assist. Thanks, guys. Gamera, yeah, I didn't look at the chat. I remembered on my own, but thank you for pitching in. Yeah, so this movie actually has a soundtrack from Kao Otani, and I could close my eyes while listening to the soundtrack of that movie and just imagine it in Shadow of the Colossus. It sounded so close, like the feeling and the vibe. It's really cool. So for any of you out there that enjoyed Shadow of the Colossus and you want to experience similar music, definitely look into the Gamera soundtracks. Very, very similar in feeling and tone. The Shadow of the Colossus, the game, of course, is one of my favorite games of all time. The the music of that game has this kind of like mysterious feeling to it that at times is very adventurous and like heroic sounding, and then quickly can turn into like something that feels a lot more dramatic and even tragic at times, like which echoes the battles of the game, which of course similarly are often very exhilarating, and the music matches that. And just as you're about to achieve victory, it quickly descends into something more tragic sounding and feeling. And I think Gamera kind of has that feeling too. Gamera always felt like, I don't know, it felt like it was trying to reach for something a little different than Godzilla at times. Even though Gamera sometimes feels like it's more aimed at kids. Some of the movies, and the one I saw felt like this, definitely felt like it was trying to have a different kind of voice compared to Godzilla. Goro, was it the one with the kid? I feel like a lot of Gamera movies have kids as like this. That's like a constant thing. Bacon, if I remember correctly, he also composed the OST for Gundam Wing. Really? Cool. I should look into that. Yeah, I've only seen a couple of episodes of Gundam Wing. Not too familiar with the music of it. Would you say that it sounds familiar, similar to Shadow of the Colossus? There was a time when there was like this channel on Twitch that was constantly showing Gundam in anime, and I think Night Trap watched a decent amount of Gundam Wing. Actually, he's probably a whole lot more knowledgeable in Gundam period now compared to me, yeah. Do you guys remember Wacky Cards? That's from Goro. I don't remember Wacky Cards. What is that? I remember Wacky Racers. Is it anything like Wacky Racers? Goro, yeah, Gamera is more family friendly. He used to be another brutal kaiju back in the day. Really? He used to be just another brutal kaiju, huh? And Goro, have you seen the new Godzilla anime on Netflix? I'm kind of interested in how that is shaping up or how that has turned out. I thought that the art style was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know anything about it though. I know that there's merch. Well, like any anime property out there should have merch. But yeah, I know that there's some stuff for that you can buy. And Bacon is saying that the sound of Gundam Wing is very different. Well, that's good too. That's cool too, because it speaks to Kawatani's range. You know, with Bloodborne, Sony sought to create like a soundtrack with many different composers, right? And so they got the God of War composer and a couple of different Japanese composers to God of War 3, that is, composer, to work on the game. But I think it would have been neat if they got like Kawatani to do something for Bloodborne. Okay, there we are. Goro, I have to say that I find it hard to get into anime generally. The Godzilla anime kind of bored me, but maybe I'll give it another shot someday. I'm referring to the new one though. There was the older one, which was like a series of like 3 movies, and I know Bacon had saw all of those. But there's a newer anime. I think it's called Godzilla Singular Point, and that one looks kind of cool to me. I like the design of Jet Jaguar. Jet Jaguar is a well, I don't have to tell you guys. I'm sure you know who and what Jet Jaguar is, but the way that he appears in this new one, Singular Point, I think that's what it's called. It's kind of funny looking. He looks like this ramshackle mech that like some teenagers built, right? And he's tiny, like Jet Jaguar should be kind of like Ultraman, right? Like he's about as big as like a kaiju, but he's like, he's a guy in a suit. Well, they're all guys in a suit, but he's more of like a Sentai looking character rather than a kaiju, right? But for Singular Point, they made Jet Jaguar look like this crappy looking mech, and I think he looks kind of awesome in a crappy sort of way. There you go. So just doing the base coat on these guns, and it's actually not an 100% super awesome base coat. We're going to be going back and fixing it up as we go along. And yeah, Bacon was saying Elden Ring has gone gold. Wow, it still feels unreal to me. Like I know that there's already people that have like hacked the network test and have like data mined the game for all sorts of content, possibly even like exposing many key points of the game. So for many people, the game is real, and in fact, like the process of hacking the game and finding all the secrets has begun. I don't fault the people that do that. I don't have a problem with them. The only problem I have is how inevitably those kinds of leaks and stuff reach my eyes and ears. How it's just the state of the internet these days that like things like that eventually will reach innocent ears and eyes that didn't want to bear witness to such details. But yeah, so for people like me, it's like I feel like the game isn't even real. Like yeah, and of course there's people that have got their hands on it during the network test. Very exciting. Yeah, and unfortunately, barring any kind of miracle, it doesn't seem like I'm going to be getting a PS5 anytime soon. So yeah, I'll be playing it on PS4, but you know, These are the sacrifices we have to make. My understanding is that the game runs pretty much the same as something like Dark Souls 3. That seemed like the benchmark, I guess. Bandai Namco sent Lance McDonald, who's one of those guys that really get into the nitty-gritty details of Souls games in terms of like the programming and the code and looking at all sorts of details and stuff. They sent him the PS4 version, and he did like a preliminary sort of performance test on it, and it was his determination that in his estimation that the game ran more or less like Dark Souls 3 by comparison. And when you keep in mind that this game is an open world game rather than Dark Souls 3's more level-based design, even though it does appear to be a more open world kind of game as many Souls games are. They kind of give the appearance of being open world and connected. He said that it performed well in the sense that it wasn't like anything worse than what you might have already experienced on the PS4. So in that sense, I'm a little hopeful. I'm a little less like bummed out that I likely won't be playing it on a PS5. But if I end up really loving the game, I don't have a problem playing it again, buying it again, and playing it on a PS5 in the eventuality that I get one. That's no problem. If a game is good, a game is good. Alright. Nitrop, get an Xbox Series X, the future of gaming. Should have given a copy to Imagine Obama. If Obama gets a copy now, he'll still somehow finish the game after we do. if he had the head start, if he had like nearly a month head start or something like that, he would definitely finish far later than us. It's still pretty hard to find an Xbox Series X for that matter. A brief little scheme conjured up in my mind just now of purchasing an Xbox X just to play Elden Ring, and then whenever I see a PS5 or whenever they become more widely available, just trading in the Xbox. But you're right, it is the future of gaming, and we should all praise Xbox. Soon we will all be Xbox fans, whether we want to or not. Pretty sure Microsoft is going to be buying like me pretty soon. Let's make a video game company, really like right now, just so that we can be bought up by Xbox. We can call it Ninja Dog Incorporated. And we can like pretend like we have like this amazing game that's going to be made, and then someone at Xbox will be like, "Oh my God, have you heard of Ninja Dog Studios, the Ninja Hot Dog development concern? They're making an amazing Souls-like RPG action open world, skill-based timing, free-for-all deathmatch." All for one, capture the flag game. It's going to be the best game, apparently. We should buy this studio up. For Asian studios? Series S is all over the place, yeah. Oh, that's right, Bacon. If we're small time, then Sony will buy us. Well, Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take the money. I'll take the money and run. Imagine saying no to being bought up by Sony. Like, no, we're waiting for Microsoft to buy us. I saw that a thread on Reset got banned, got closed because oh, Battle Royale. I forgot to mention that our future game would also be Battle Royale. How could I forget? But yeah, I saw that there was this thread on Reset that got closed because they were like, should Sony buy OnlyFans? And I was like, hold on a second. I know this guy's joking, but think about it. You could have one of the most popular Twitch streamers in your employ now. You could have employed Amaranth. Think about that. Think about that. Amaranth could show up in the next Spider-Man movie as Mary Jane from another dimension. She's got the red hair too. There was this brief like moment in time where OnlyFans was attempting to not be a porn site, and they were trying really hard, and they even started to like shut down like X-rated content, and then everyone got all pissed off, and they were like, we're sorry. We'll be making porn again." But yeah, they were making a really strong push to diversify the content that they put out there, including like they hired like Floyd Mayweather to make content for the site, and even Linus Tech Tips. He's a big YouTuber. But I mean, let's face it, they make porn. Bacon, no, you're not Microsoft. Beat it. Oh, here's Goro with something interesting here, maybe? What's this? The creator and performer behind ALF turned down a crossover with the Muppets even after being invited, and he loved Jim Henson because he would not allow ALF to be perceived as a Muppet, but an actual alien? Oh my god. That guy. Wow. The creator and performer of ALF. What is that guy... Has that guy ever made anything other than ALF worthy of note? Like what else has he done? And he's like, no, I want people to perceive this fuzzy creature to be an actual alien. Okay, he's definitely not a fuzzy piece of fabric stretched over styrofoam with like a human hand up his ass. He's definitely not that. He's definitely an alien, guys. Night Trap, that's a great idea. Adds more to PS Plus. Yeah, every PS Plus sub includes, it's like using Amazon Prime. You're using your Twitch Prime. You can get some, you get one free OnlyFans sub. Goro, nobody kept Alf alive over the years. I'm assuming he's dead now? Is Alf intended to be always spelled in all caps? I see you're very particular about that, Goro. Alf. I remember I was at your house one time, and somehow we got to talking about Alf. I feel like inevitably all roads lead back to Alf. And I was wondering out loud, what's his catchphrase? And your brother excitedly, opened up his laptop to try and find it out. I still don't. I remember he did find out, but what is it? I forget now. Is it something like, what, me worry or something? Something like that, like it's not my fault. I like to eat cats. I don't know. What's his catchphrase? Inevitably, all roads lead to Alf. Yeah, man, that should be on a T-shirt. Dude, the creator of Alf is Gordon Shumway. Isn't that the the name, like the alias that Alf often will refer to when he's like calling like for pizza on the phone or something like that, trying to get delivery. Gordon Shumway. Alf. God damn. I know that you were telling me how the final episode of Alf, the father just like walked away from the set, and it was just a very like sad experience. It wasn't this heartfelt goodbye. Often when a sitcom ends, there's this very kind of like real moment where the real actors kind of bleed into the character, and they say goodbye to one another, and it's always heartfelt. That happens in like, it happens in Friends, it happened in Martin, it happened in frickin' Dinosaurs before the dinosaurs died. But you're saying how that never happened with Alf. People just walked off, and it was just another job for everyone, and they were done. They were donezo. That was it. I might actually remember the Alf cartoon a little more. What was the name of their planet? I believe the Alf cartoon took place mostly on the alien planet. And there was all sorts of wacky other Alf aliens. Yeah, I remember watching that cartoon. I don't know, I was like that kid that would watch the cartoon spin-offs from movies and TV shows, and I'd get really into it as well. Possibly even more so than the original property. Like Ghostbusters. I kind of like the Ghostbusters cartoon, and I might just be more familiar with the Ghostbusters cartoon than I am the movies. There was actually some decent cartoons, and you know what? Straczynski, what's his name? Like J. Michael Straczynski? I feel like he wrote some episodes for Ghostbusters, the cartoon. Goro broke my heart when I heard that. About Alf ending. No problemo? That's his freaking catchphrase, Night Trap? No problemo? Goro, Melmac. Melmac was the planet. I was gonna say Knick-Knack, but that's not right. Yeah. Oh, Beetlejuice. The Beetlejuice cartoon was actually pretty good. Man, I kind of want to watch some of that now. Yeah, I remember liking that, and that was definitely another instance where I was a whole lot more familiar with the cartoon than I was the movie. I liked the movie, but the cartoon was on every day on like early on the morning just before I left for school or something. So I definitely was catching the cartoon and more often. Yeah, I liked the cartoon. It was pretty fun. There's a really good podcast, by the way, about cartoons, and they cover like American cartoons, like the ones we're talking about, and the Back to the Future cartoon. Oh no, I've kind of forgot the name of it. Oh no. Oh, it's called What a Cartoon. That's a podcast, and I listen to it occasionally, and they get into some good stuff. They definitely get into the things that we're talking about now, and they really redo their research and look into the creators and look into the writers that were involved. And that's how I found out about Straczynski on Ghostbusters. It's either Ghostbusters or the Back to the Future cartoon. I want to say Ghostbusters though. But yeah, that's a pretty cool podcast. Didn't the real Ghostbusters get into Slimer's origin? That would be interesting. Was he like a glutton? Was he like some kind of fat Jabba the Hutt like creature or human when he was alive? Or was he like a criminal? I don't know. I know that Okay, so there's two things that really stand out to me about the Ghostbusters cartoon that I remember to this day. There was this one episode that got into vampires and werewolves and the fight and the struggle between these two factions, okay? And there was this one point in the cartoon where they're fighting, right? Vampires and werewolves. And they were turning themselves into each other as they were fighting. So, they were biting each other and clawing at each other. And then, yeah, they would turn, like a vampire would turn into a werewolf. And then, yeah, vice versa. And I thought at the time that was the coolest thing. I thought that was so cool. And the other thing that I remember about the cartoon, the Ghostbusters cartoon, was that, let's line up these guys properly. Was that there was this overarching villain, almost like how Thanos was like the overarching villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They created this new villain for the Ghostbusters, and he kind of had like I want to say he had like a fiery pumpkin head or something like that. And I remember thinking that was pretty cool. And to this day, again in that What a Cartoon podcast, they kind of referenced that was like a big thing. And yeah, when I was listening to the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. That was so cool. The stream is stable, no problems. Okay, that's good. I feel like it's just one of those things with this app that I'm gonna have to deal with from time to time. Gonna have to restart the stream and try a couple times. I don't know. It's annoying, but whatever. As you were saying, it's just something that you're gonna have to deal with. Goro, Slimer was a king? Time to crack open Wikipedia. That sounds interesting. Slimer was a king. Now he's been reduced to a floating green ball that Dan Aykroyd occasionally has to shoo away from food and stuff. Yeah, I haven't seen the new Ghostbusters cartoon. As much as a Ghostbusters fan, I just, it's something that I'm very comfortable just leaving in the past and being like, yeah, that was awesome as a kid, and I don't need it to be a huge franchise in the series. I know that Hollywood and Sony own Ghostbusters. I know that's the antithesis of making big blockbuster movies in this day and age. Everything has to be a gigantic franchise. Everything has to be a gigantic cinematic universe. But I don't feel like Ghostbusters is conducive to that, to be honest. And I'll tell you why. It's because the people that were involved in making Ghostbusters, it was lightning in a bottle. It's something that you can't simply just manufacture by getting a couple of really talented comedians to work on it and to act it, because Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, they were writing this script and changing it around, even while they were working at Saturday Night Live. I believe it was originally supposed to be a script, like just a skit or something for Saturday Night Live, that they then evolved and transformed into the thing that we know to this day. But during that whole creation process, it went through many iterations, and that's nothing new for making movies. Movies always go through a lot of different versions, but yeah, it's something that you can look into. It's pretty interesting, the various kinds of forms and shapes that Ghostbusters was going to be at one point in time. It was supposed to set it was originally supposed to be set in the past, like the 1930s or the 1800s or something crazy like that. And yeah, it eventually turned into, let's make it set in what was then modern day New York. Changed a lot. Night Trap, we should watch that new Ghostbusters movie. It might be good. Yeah, I hear it's decent. I hear it's pretty good. I'm sure it'll be fine. At the very least, it'll be fine. I think it's out on home video now at this point. So let's do a base coat. Let's finish doing this second base coat on these guns, and then we'll take a little break. How about that? Take a little break, and then we'll get back to doing some stuff. Okay. Ooh, got a couple more. Actually, let's take a break now, because I'm seeing that I have quite a few more to do. Got these more to do, just the base coat. And my first base coat wasn't that great, to be honest. So I'll take a little break and we'll be right back. BRB. Alright, I'm back. Let's get back to work. Night Trap, you have the funniest emotes. You keep on getting gift subs. So far I haven't really gotten any gift subs as of late from well, to be honest, I don't really watch many other streams other than the usual suspects. But yeah, I haven't got any gifties. Not like I'm begging for them or anything. It's just, whoops! I noticed. Oh crap! My tray full of bottles fell. Just give me a second. They're all closed, so it's not a big deal. I lurk all types of channels. Oh god, the only people on YouTube talking about Slimer are unwatchable freaks. do they talk about Slimer like they're in love with him or something? Let it be known that to talk about Slimer, you must be presentable in some fashion. You cannot be a freak. So, when I was streaming Dragon Quest Builders, I actually mentioned something about the new Eldar models that are coming out, and how if Games Workshop really want me back into this hobby, they need to make the Eldar Exodites a true a true army. And for those that don't know, the Eldar Exodites are a type of Eldar that aren't really present all that much in the modern game or setting, and they're Eldar that have given up the ways of the craft worlds and the kind of discipline that you have to be in this for the Eldar, and they live one with nature or something like that. But they also ride giant dinosaurs and strap lasers onto them. That's really the main thing. And that's how they can get me back 100% in the hobby. I hope that they eventually will get into that, because it seems like an easy way to print money. I think a lot of people that are into painting miniatures would love to paint space elves riding giant dinosaurs with guns on them. But yeah, I feel like I would like to talk about this more, and spin it off into a video. However, I might make that in like a more polished video that I'll record and sort of have visual samples. It's not something that I'll just do here talking about it while I paint. So yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Okay, give me a quick second. Okay. Goro, except for the BS IGN interview where the 2016 director says they were going to shoot a scene where he was a gangster who got his body blown off? What the hell? Who got his body blown off? That's funny. iPatchWolf makes solid content. I don't mean they're physical freaks. I mean that their video style and delivery is just unwatchable and poorly put together. Yeah, I definitely thought you meant that they were like freaks, like from just like how they looked. I kind of miss the day and age. I kind of miss the age where like YouTube was this weird place where all the content was kind of like crappy, and yeah, it was all like weird freak content, to use Goro's term. It was like that, and then yeah, modern YouTube is a whole lot more polished now. There's people out there that use YouTube as their primary form of entertainment, over TV, and as such, the production values that are involved with YouTube, and even for Twitch, for example, too. It's just there's people out there that have really good presentation on their videos and stuff. It's pretty cool, but at the same time, I kind of miss the rough and tumble days. So the bottom part of their gun here is the cartridge that holds like the shurikens, I guess. And some of these models actually have like extra cartridges, see? Like that. So I guess I'd have to paint these to match that, because it only makes sense that the cartridges on their belt would match the cartridges in the gun. Night Trap, nothing tops the Gathering of the Gargoyles convention. Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, if actually that thing still existed, I might be tempted to go to one. I'm not a huge Gargoyles fan, but I, as far as cartoons go that came out in the 90s, the late 90s, it's one of my favorites, and I don't know, it might be cool to meet some of the artists that made it, the show, or the voice actors. Yeah, I really do like Gargoyles. You know, what's his name? Is it Jordan Key from Key and Peele? Which is the one that's like a movie director now that makes like horror movies and stuff. He has gone on record as saying that he wants to make like a Gargoyles like movie or TV show, which I thought was pretty interesting. So there's people out there. There's people out there with influence that are waving the flag, carrying the flag for Gargoyles. It's a thing that Disney own, and I think that they're aware that there's a fan base. Night Trap, early YouTube was like the Wild West. Like that guy that fights people in gyms. Oh my god. Yeah, we were just watching that. I forget his name already, but there's this dude that was making YouTube videos where he was just going to like boxing gyms and like Planet Fitness, fighting people and saying like, "Hey, let's spar." And then basically fighting them for real. You know, going way harder than they expected, right? To the point where he's like beating the crap out of them, filming it on YouTube, and then saying that this is an official fight that counts on his boxing record, and thus, because he's beating up these people so suddenly, he's calling them like a win. And then eventually he fought a real-ass boxer, Deontay Wilder, who recently had an amazing fight, like close to the tail end of 2021 against Tyson Fury. It's just about the last boxing match that I actually cared about, to be honest, because I used to watch Manny Pacquiao fight, but basically when he lost to Mayweather, that's kind of when I stopped caring, because I felt like he should stop boxing, and yet he still continued to box. And then in recent years, boxing has mostly become a carny sideshow dominated by the Logan Paul and Jake Paul brothers, with their stupid boxing matches that are that's just a joke and a gigantic sham. But the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight was the last boxing fight, or the latest boxing fight to actually make me interested in boxing again. It was amazing. Very good fight. Jordan Peele, Night Trap. Okay, yeah, Jordan Peele. He's the guy that, yeah, so I had, again, that was actually something that I heard on the podcast that I mentioned earlier. The What a Cartoon podcast. They were saying how he has said that he would like to be involved with Gargoyles, or that he would like Gargoyles to come back in some fashion. And actually, the creator of Gargoyles is still around doing stuff. Most recently, I believe he was the head writer for the Teen Titans cartoon. No, it's the one that's just called Young Justice. Yeah, and I've actually seen a few episodes of that, and it's actually pretty good. I didn't know at the time that he was like one of the writers. But the thing about Gargoyles that was so great was it combined like all these things that maybe shouldn't have gone together, or you wouldn't have thought to go together, and in a way that made sense. And it also felt very mature for like something that was intended to be for kids. Like, you know, the relationships, they weren't just simply cartoon characters with very simplistic motivations. Many characters that you would just write off as bad guys were coming from a place that you could, at least in some aspect, sympathize with. You could at least understand, or empathize with might be a better term. You could somehow understand where they were coming from. Like someone like Xanatos, voiced by the brilliant Commander Riker, Jonathan Frakes. He's like evil Iron Man, right? Evil Iron Man, evil Batman. But his rationale, his entire like motivation was just so interesting. This whole thing about this concept of the Xanatos, what is it, like the Xanatos theory or something, where it's like even when he loses, he's winning because he always has plans nested in plans, right? So the gargoyles can beat him from week to week, and actually that's something that the writers were talking about, was like, how can we make a really interesting, legitimate villain, right? But also, like, he has to lose a lot because, you know, the good guys always have to win. It's a Saturday morning cartoon after all, right? So they came up with this idea of like the Xanatos theory or something like that, where it's like, as I said, even when he's losing, he still has won in some way, shape, or form, because he has all these like nested plans within plans. So yes, you know, you beat us, like you defeated him in some way in this 30-minute episode, but like long term, it's all like coming into plan for him somehow. Something like that. It's really cool. There's set photos for Disney Plus show called Secret Invasion. Oh. What did the set photos show? Lay it on me, Night Trap. What did they show? I wonder what they'll do for Secret Invasion, and if it's going to be exactly like the comics, because the whole idea of the Skrulls taking over notable heroes, like heroes that you've been following for years, it's like, haha, they turned out to be Skrulls, right? I don't know, that seems a little disappointing to me. Unless somehow they can use Secret Invasion to retcon everything about Eternals. And it's like, you know what? Forget about Eternals. They were all Skrulls and they all died. The other thing I'm not too keen on with Secret Invasion is, you know, eventually you'll have these fights where it's like, well, in the comic, it's like, for example, Iron Man versus, you know, Doctor Strange. And it's like, well, you know, it's ultimately not too satisfying because you know that one of them or both of them are Skrulls, right? And so it's not the true, like, it's not the true fight that you actually wanted. And you can't use it as any kind of like measuring stick for the relative powers and of each other and how they'd stack up. And also just the idea of heroes fighting against each other. We've actually seen that already in a bit in the first Avengers movie. They fight each other for a bit, and also the second Avengers movie they fight each other. So I don't know. Just not too interested in seeing Avengers or other superheroes beating each other up, because I feel like we've kind of seen that already. Okay. Amelia Clark? she's probably the Skrull Queen. Well, you know what? Amelia Clark, her TV record is a little better in the sense that she was involved with a huge TV show. Her movie record isn't so great, as we all know. They're filming in Halifax. That's cool. I wonder what Halifax is supposed to be in this instance. Is it supposed to be someplace in America? Wouldn't it be cool if the events of Secret Invasion took place in Halifax, of all places? Like, of course, many Canadian cities and towns double as American places, and it's rare and cause for celebration whenever a Canadian city gets to be itself, like in Scott Pilgrim or something like that. It's like, yay, it actually gets to be Toronto for once instead of New York. So that would be kind of funny if Secret Invasion took place in Halifax, but I doubt it. That was pretty cool, though. The Boys Season 1, and I think 2, a lot of it was filmed in Toronto. And in fact, many places were filmed in Scarborough. And we even like saw some of that being filmed. Like we would drive by some of these areas, and this would be like years ahead, like a year or so ahead of the actual release of The Boys. And then The Boys comes out and we're like, oh, that's what that was when they were filming that? That's cool. Secret Invasion. I think I gotta get a drink of water, feeling a little parched. But also, I gotta do this. Gotta paint this part here. Still thinking about what's the next big miniature I want to buy and paint. That's something that I was talking about at the end of 2021 as I started to do these painting streams. I was like, I want to get like a big miniature, something cool. And I'm not 100% sure what I want to get, but I've been thinking about a few things. I was thinking about getting Treebeard from the Lord of the Rings. The miniature for Treebeard looks amazing, really cool. So that's a possibility. One of the first big miniatures that I bought in the early years of getting into this hobby was Durthu the Tree Man, a giant tree man. So it'd be kind of cool to buy like another tree man model, effectively the tree man, and see how far I've improved. Let me blow my nose for a second, get a drink of water. BRB. Goro, I can't wait for Matt Murdock to show up in the MCU now. Though I heard Hawkeye made a bitch out of Kingpin. Yeah, so yeah, Kingpin, he turns into a cartoon character in Hawkeye. He's like, I guess I don't want to spoil anything, but maybe we can make a little spoiler warning for anyone watching now or later in the future uh, about Kingpin. He's basically like, first of all, his durability is through the roof, right? If he was a RPG character or something, his stat line would be like super buff in toughness, right? His toughness or defensive stat would be like through the roof because he survives getting run over by a car, and then not long after that, he survives getting blown up point blank with like an exploding arrow. And yeah, he kind of just bounces around like a big balloon in Hawkeye. It's really weird. And so I remember watching that and thinking like, wasn't Kingpin like a complete credible threat? Like they actually kind of built him up to be this super intimidating monster of a character throughout Hawkeye. They did a decent job of that. But when it came to the fight, he was, yeah, as I said, just kind of like this cartoon character. And yeah, so I'm watching this show and thinking, this is not the Kingpin that I remember being so amazingly scary and stuff, right? From Daredevil. So let me quickly fire up some Daredevil clips. They've got lots of clips that you can watch on YouTube. And I'm watching these clips of like fighting Daredevil or the Punisher, and it's like, yeah, holy crap, this guy is terrifying. He is so scary. He's so violent, and just like he's brutal, I think is the best word to put it. He's just such a incredibly brutal, imposing figure. And there's really none of that in the Hawkeye show. I think they did a good job setting it up, and I don't think it's nothing like Vincent D'Onofrio has like lost a step or anything. Like he's still Vincent D'Onofrio, but yeah, I feel like if they ever bring him back, I hope that he's like back to his violent, scary, and intimidating ways. And yeah, if and when Daredevil appears again, I hope that the content that he's in is more like, I don't want to say rated R, but like closer to what you'd expect from the Netflix show than this kind of like kitty gloves kind of thing that we're seeing with the Marvel stuff, with the Marvel Disney Plus stuff, which I like. I like a lot of the Disney Plus shows, to be honest. And some of the action scenes are pretty cool. But yeah, for Kingpin, it should have been a shocker. It should have been super violent. Disney's Disney, Goro, yeah. Goro, the universe created in the Netflix DD and Punisher was perfect. I wish they could replicate that with whatever Disney does, but Disney's Disney. You hate the Disney Plus shows so far? No, I like them a lot more than you do, for sure. Couldn't get through Hawkeye. Yeah, and I do remember that you were saying that you didn't like Loki all that much. Yeah, I ended up liking most of them to varying degrees. I liked Loki a lot, actually. I just thought it was fun. But yeah, I do know your reasoning for that. And I'm excited about the Young Avengers, to be honest. In fact, like the build up to Young Avengers, I feel like they've been handling that pretty well. And I don't know what they're gonna do, if that's gonna be like a TV show or a movie or something. But in some ways, I'm more excited about that than I am with whatever Disney's kind of like Marvel's been building up to as their big credible threat for the next phase of the MCU, whether that's Kang or whatever, or Adam Warlock or something. Yeah, I'm more excited about the Young Avengers, and I talked about that before, so I'm not going to get into it now. But yeah, it's a very interesting phase that we find ourselves in with Marvel. Because they basically have to, it's interesting because when Marvel started to make their movies, right? And I remember even like reading Wizard magazine at the time and hearing that Marvel wanted to make movies, but the characters that they had, it was like Avengers and stuff. And you have to remember that there was a time where Avengers were B tier. Let's be honest. Iron Man was definitely B tier. Captain America, all of these guys, they were not the X-Men. Basically X-Men and Spider-Man. That was the Marvel universe, right? Like as far as like comics go and as far as the big properties go. And probably still to this day in comics, I'd still say it's like X-Men and Spider-Man, right? Someone was like, okay, they've got Avengers and they've got Iron Man and Captain America. It's like, okay, I don't know about this. And then Iron Man comes out and it's like, whoa, they did it. They made Iron Man cool. And suddenly Iron Man is now this A-lister, right? And then they did it again and again and again, right? With Thor and Captain America and then the big one for me was Guardians of the Galaxy. It was like, whoa. They even managed to make something like Guardians of the Galaxy, a property that no one had really heard of, right, outside of the comics world. And even then, I think a lot of comics readers many of them wouldn't have really known much about the Guardians. And if they did, they're lying. Unless you're like 70 years old or something. Unless you're like 62 and you've got like a basement full of comics and comic boxes and you smell like mothballs or something and your mom's spaghetti, yeah, you probably don't know about you probably didn't know about Guardians of the Galaxy prior to the movies, that is. At least not to the extent that you knew about all these characters and blah blah blah, right? That was the big one where it was like, holy shit, they made Guardians of the Galaxy a thing. And then now with this new phase in the Marvel Universe, they're like, Shang-Chi, everybody. Okay. The Eternals, I don't know about that one. But I think Young Avengers could be cool. Let's see. Aruka, I want to enjoy my Disney Plus subscription besides just the X-Men stuff Disney bought. How can you enjoy your Disney Plus subscription and you don't care much about the Marvel TV show? Oh, have you seen What If? I keep on asking other people about that, but I hear What If is pretty entertaining. I think Gargoyles is on Disney Plus. That's enough to justify a year-long subscription. Stick is pretty cool. I don't know about Stick. He's just some old guy, to be honest. Goru, I love it even more because when I read DD comics or watch the show, I think, wait, is there a version of that in TMNT? And usually there is. Oh, okay. Which adds another layer of enjoyment to me. But then in their hubris, Eternals, exactly. The height of Kevin Feige's hubris. He thought he had the golden touch. In his hubris, he was like, well, I turned Guardians of Galaxies into a $1 billion franchise. Let's take Jack Kirby's creations, ones that even he couldn't turn into a thing. Because remember, the whole concept of the Eternals was probably more effectively executed with the New Gods for DC. He kind of, if I'm not mistaken, the Eternals came first. That didn't pan out so well, and he kind of reconceived the project in some ways, and created the New Gods. And I'd even say the New Gods themselves were never like this super amazing property for DC as well. Just a couple of them, right? Obviously, Darkseid is a big one. Is the biggest and the best. But yeah, Kevin Feige thought, I'm gonna do what Jack Kirby couldn't even do. despite the fact that Jack Kirby is Jack Kirby. I'm going to do that. It was a flex, but it was a failed flex. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of like internal mechanism sort of like grinding and moving and lurching along, spewing out steam, trying to recalculate the course, the trajectory of the Marvel Universe now, given the poor performance of the Eternals. Like it's made like the least amount of money. I don't know if you want to call it a bomb. It's very close to being a bomb, at least comparatively speaking to the other Marvel properties, and also like given the pandemic and everything. But I wouldn't be surprised if like the critical reception, the financial box office, they're like recalculate. The machine must still keep going, but we must find a new course. Call Robert Downey Jr. Does he have a son? Does he have like a cousin that we can get to become like young Iron Man? Can we make it somehow that like Steve Rogers gets rejuvenated? Is there a comic where that happens? They're scrambling and looking for anything. Blade, but I think Blade will solve the problems, all problems. Gargoyles. Yeah, man, Gargoyles. Check it out. I really do like Gargoyles. Watch just the first 2 seasons. There's a 3rd season of Gargoyles, and it's awful. It's called like The Adventures of Goliath or something, and I don't really want to get into that about why it's bad, but it's bad. And the head writer for Gargoyles, sort of like the Kevin Feige of Gargoyles. Well, not that Feige was like a writer, but you know what I mean. The head guy, the show creator of Gargoyles, was not involved with season 3. So avoid. It might not even be on Disney Plus. Goru, it doesn't even feel like a Feige film. It feels like it was made by committee. Yeah, it had different priorities, Eternals. Night Trap, Season 3, The Goliath Chronicles of Void. That's the one. I remember watching it as a kid, being super excited. That's the other thing that actually kind of really killed Gargoyles in terms of like really gaining steam and gaining popularity. They kept on changing its time slot. Like it used to be like, okay, it's on, right after school. It's like on at 4 o'clock or something. And then it was like, oh no, we're going to put it on Saturdays at 8 o'clock. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put that in my schedule, my busy schedule as an 8-year-old or whatever. We'll slot that in, Gargoyles. And then, 1 week it just wasn't there. And then the next week it was on a Sunday and then a Thursday. And then they just kept on changing it. And suddenly it just disappeared, like it was just over, or it was just hard to watch and lost interest. Who can forget Jonathan Frakes? Dude, there's pretty much everyone from TNG except for Picard, I think, except for Patrick Stewart. Is in there's Marina Sirtis, there's Data, Brent Spiner, Michael Dorn, of course. I'm not sure if I feel like Geordi must have been in there somewhere, but I can't recall. Yeah, Brent Spiner. He has an amazing character, by the way. If you're into well, actually, I don't want to spoil it if you get into it. But yeah, he's a great character. He starts off one way, and then you're kind of like, oh shit, there's like more to this character. And it's only really revealed into like the 2nd season, like the true nature of his character. No spoilers for a freaking 30-year-old show or something. But yeah, if you're into Shakespeare too, I'm not really, but in high school, everyone in high school learns about Shakespeare. That's something that you might appreciate about Gargoyles. There's a lot of Shakespearean stuff or direct Shakespeare references worked into the lore. Very cool. right. You know what? I think I think this might be it for me today. I've done a decent amount of base coating on these guns. There's still a bit more to do to get a nice solid color. And then we need to do the shading. We did all the gems. The bodies, these guys, they're effectively done. They're more or less done, which I'm happy about. So that's pretty cool. We've done all of that. And so really, once we're done with these guns, we attach them onto these babies. Something like that. And then we will have completed the Eldar Guardians. And that was my second challenge for this month, was to complete this unit of Eldar Guardians. And that'll be really cool. I'll be very satisfied. I'll have maximum satisfaction points. That's why I'm doing this, is to feel that sense of satisfaction of completing a task and finishing something. Yeah. So yeah, just paint the gems one color and then gloss paint it. All right, guys. Yeah. So that's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Had some hiccups getting this working, but we've got it working so far for today at least. Tomorrow's another day for whatever surprises this app has in store for me. But yep, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.